Elite Dangerous stands as one of the most premier space simulation games on the market, and that, to be fair, is irrefutable. Even considering it is now over 10 years old, it's still receiving a vast quality of updates that are bringing the player community back. It offers players a vast galaxy to explore, with over 400 billion star systems, and now with the option to populate unpopulated star systems and put your own stamp on the game with System Colonisation. Yet, despite its impressive scale and dedicated community, of which we are all a part of, there remain key areas where Frontier developments could elevate the experience to truly claim that title of ultimate space game. Now, if we look at successful elements from competitor games in the same space, should we say, no pun intended there, we can identify key improvements that could transform Elite Dangerous into the definitive, unarguably space simulation of our lifetime. I think it's fair to say that the Elite Dangerous community is full of bright ideas. Myself have done several videos on how Elite Dangerous could be improved and different aspects could be improved. But I was thinking the other night, with all the other space games that are coming onto the market and that already have been on the market and are quite established, what parts could be taken from them that Frontier could shamelessly integrate, shall we say, in a perfect world into Elite Dangerous? And one of the first things I thought of, which is a common topic and I think has been said quite a number of times, is a narrative integration into the game. Frontier have said that yes, there is an underlying narrative which we've seen with the Thargoid War and especially with power play, but it's a very subtle narrative. Every now and again the game comes into its own and characters come to the forefront. Salvation, for example. Is that cat still alive? Has he translated himself into an artificial intelligence? Who knows? And Frontier may start a narrative around this. It was certainly alluded to in past streams. But character-driven storylines, cast-driven storylines, and what do I mean by that? Whether you decide to be a pilot, a trader, an explorer, a combat pilot, a mercenary, all these could have a driven storyline, something that's very subtle, something that gives you an additional bonus, something outside the realms of power play. These personal narrative arcs could implement a reputation system that goes beyond the simple faction standing and the faction standings that you have with the superpowers, where player choices lead to unique storylines that could affect not only power play, but the background simulation and therefore the galaxy. In subtle ways that are not going to make a drastic impact, but still give that player the feeling of dynamic consequences. That system where player decisions could cascade through the galaxy, perhaps affecting economies, faction control, and even the physical appearance of stations and settlements. Just a thought. The drawbacks to this, though, is that too much narrative structure might limit the sandbox feel that we as commanders have enjoyed over the years. Development resources directed towards the narrative could detract from improving core gameplay systems, which we're currently enjoying a glut of from Frontier. And thank you, Frontier. Also, balancing narratives for solo players versus that of multiplayer groups could present a significant challenge. And therefore, you got to think, well, how would they do that? Now, even though System Colonisation has been with us a few weeks and it's been on hold, it's been on, it's been off, that sort of thing, there's already been an update to System Colonisation. It has impacted the player community with quite a force. People are coming back to Elite Dangerous to get their name on the game. However, the base construction could have been a lot more from that, couldn't it really? Why couldn't we allow players to establish a more personal outpost on planets by bolting different outpost designs together? Yes, there are several in-game to choose from, of which do have specific attributes to them, but with customizable layouts that could serve a specific gameplay function. For example, Just leaving them there and having them as an SRV racetrack could be fantastic, and this could have been quite the thing to have. I was quite surprised when System Colonisation happened and it was this is the station, this is the ground base that you want, you plonk it wherever it is on the map, the land structure changes to accommodate that base, and away you go. What about customizable station interiors, expanding on the current station services to include that personalized aspect, that personalized space that grows with, say, player progression, similar to player housing in X4 Foundations? The industrial chain aspect of implementing resource gathering, processing, manufacturing systems, using NPCs to ferry materials in the construction of a base, hiring additional NPCs so that this game doesn't become a second wife that you have to pander to and put the ironing away for. Later on in the year, we're going to get the update to Squadrons, which is going to be called Vanguard. Is this going to be enough to kindle player interest? Information on Vanguards is limited at the moment, given we've only had one frontier unlock so far this year. However, it seems that there will be a Vanguard leader that'll be able to dish out missions to a player community, people within that Vanguard. A lot of players don't like being told what to do, and the very essence of Elite Dangerous could be derived down to the fact that it is a case of forge your own path. Now there's more of a multiplayer aspect. This might mess with some people's zen. If we look at overcrowding in popular regions of space, we've certainly seen this, what with the Thargoid War as well. And this could lead to potential game instabilities where everyone descends on a particular system to try and change what's going there on the background simulation. Walking around your ship. Go on, I've said it. Everyone who's got their bingo card out, woo! You've nearly got a line. That's right, walking around a ship. Players have been banging on about this and that walking around the ship experience in Elite Dangerous for years. Yes, we've got that on-foot gameplay arc with Elite Dangerous Odyssey, whereas you can walk around your fleet carrier, you can walk around the station, you can walk around the land bases, or get out of your SRV and walk around the planet. That is not enough for some commanders, however, because they want to walk around their Cobra Mark III, stroll around that Sidewinder, stretch your legs in the Eagle Mark II, or go for a good old marathon run around that Federal Corvette. What this will lend to gameplay, personally, I don't really know. They say it's going to be an extra level of immersion. I'm not sure if it's going to be that. I think the game structure of Elite Dangerous is such, unlike, say, for example, Star Citizen, whereas if you leave your cockpit on a bit of a journey in between stations in the bubble, you're more likely to get mugged off while you're sat on your proverbial space toilet or tinking away in your proverbial space cargo hold. If you're on exploration, yeah, great, fantastic, but what would you actually be doing? So yes, okay, you've walked down to the space toilet in your Anaconda. Brill. Then what? Do you know what I mean? Then what would you do? It's an awful lot of development to go into something. I'm not sure what gameplay it would bring, and it would have to have an entire gameplay arc around it. I do see potential gameplay arcs around fixing components if your ship is broken, for example, that more tactile method as opposed to just switching them on and off and hoping they come back up, or firing up the AFMU. Staying with the theme of on-foot gameplay enhancement, the Odyssey expansion, like I mentioned, introduced on-foot gameplay, but it lacks depth and seamless integration, as seen like with the competitor games like Star Citizen. We need to elevate this aspect. We need diverse planetary activities. For example, better archaeology, wildlife tracking, perhaps even scientific research stations, setting up scientific research stations, and then selling that scientific research station data. Ooh, I feel a little bit of Star Trek coming on. And there's also other activities beyond settlement-based gameplay. There's a more enhanced first-person shooter mechanic, more weapons, more suits, varied combat scenarios. And then, again, environmental diversity, creating a more varied planetary environment as opposed to ice and rocks. I want to be able to, gladiator style, run my fingers through virtual grass in a dodgy dream sequence once I've been killed. I want to be looking down from a mountaintop to a cloud base layer. I want to see trees. I want to see bodies of water. I want to be able to traverse bodies of water and open up those bodies of water to more gameplay arcs. Of course, potential drawbacks of these are going to be it's going to take further development that could continue to split the community between Horizons and Odyssey players. There's also that around VR, which needs a complete overhaul if they're going to keep doing this. Every new ship in this game has a VR aspect of the cockpit. It's not totally abandoned. However, what's it going to take to get VR to be put into Odyssey? Is that even a thing? Is it going to be a roadmap, or is the VR bubble dead? It's also going to lead as well to performance issues on lower end hardware, which could limit accessibility. However, I'm running this perfectly fine on a 1070 NVIDIA graphics card with a 9-year-old Intel i7 chip. Oh my god, it's still working. And it still works. So, yeah, things to think about. If we look at the social and multiplayer systems, Elite multiplayer experience remains somewhat isolated compared to other games like EVE. I personally quite like it, although with the Vanguards coming to expand that squadron functionality, I think this could be a thing. I hope they do get it right. Cross-platform play. I mean, we all know that the people on consoles, on Xbox and PS, the PlayStation, right, have had their world ripped from them. Some have migrated over to the PC and are getting on great with it. Others, no, the console is good enough for them. Have Frontier Developments with Elite Dangerous cut their nose off to spite their face in regards to this, and you can basically look at player numbers with other games that are obviously cross-platform to see where the deficit's going to be. More large-scale events also has to be spoken about. The Thargoid War, we all came together. People are coming together to populate systems in System Colonisation. However, what's next? What's the next big thing to bring people together for watch parties as we all stood around and watched the Titans explode, or ran bombing sorties in our Mandalays to watch the Titans explode? What's the next thing that's going to bring people together? Everyone likes a good war, and war is certainly big for business. So after all the points we've spoken about, right? Exploration enhancement. While Elite Dangerous offers an unparalleled galaxy to explore, and I think that's safe to say, the mechanics could be deepened by learning from games such as No Man's Sky. That biome diversity, create a more varied planetary surface, enhanced xenobiology, interactive discoveries, and more discovery rewards could be the thing that we're actually lacking, and give us more ownership of what we find when we get out of our SRV or ship. However, it's be remiss of me not to mention technical improvements that need to happen with the game. Enhanced graphics for the new graphics cards that are coming out. Improved instancing, because we've all had trouble with instancing. And again, as I mentioned, VR support for all aspects of the game, not just the space aspect. These graphical drawbacks, however, could be that, it could exclude those players from older hardware. VR implementation for on-foot gameplay could present a significant design and technical challenge. Either way, though, with the items that I've listed here, Elite Dangerous offers an incredible foundation, with its one-to-one scale Milky Way, realistic flight model, and committed development team. Well done, FDev. By implementing some of these, if not all of these, again with their existing roadmap, and their roadmap's been going on and has been issued for 2025, this could turn Elite Dangerous into the definitive space game experience for players of this genre. The path forward would involve obviously careful balancing of the new features against current in-game dynamics, and that would certainly need to be thought about. If you're still with me, like and subscribe to this video and the channel. If you've got more comments, I'd like to hear them too. We always like a good discussion here at Ricardos Gaming Channel. I'll see you soon.